Hello, hello, my loves, and welcome back to season 5, episode 2 of the Fierce Authenticity podcast. Today, we are discussing the topic of love. Mm, yes, you heard that correctly. Today, we are discussing the topic of love. And hopefully, my voice does not give out on me. Hopefully, my voice remains good throughout the duration of our conversation today. Um, there was a little bit of a delay in episode 2 because I got sick. And if you have subscribed to the private podcast, which is only accessible by subscribing to the Revolutionary Times digital publication, where you then receive your invitation to join us. But if you're in the private podcast, then you heard about it. I got sick and that really sucked. But here we are. And we're back. And it's actually really funny because I had literally recorded a podcast about how all these people are getting sick. Like there's all sorts of body things going on. And it took me back to the January 1st private podcast episode I had recorded where I talked about the importance of really taking care of our bodies, where this is a year where we are going to be forced to really tend to and take care of our bodies in a way like we haven't taken care of it before. And yeah. Ironically enough, I was in the middle of recording that podcast. I had to pause to tend to some business, and then I wasn't even able to come back to it because I felt ill, lost my voice. I mean, the whole thing, which is why today's episode of our public podcast is delayed. Anyhow, let me introduce myself. Hi, everyone. This is Shirani M. Pathak, and I am a spiritual teacher, healer, and leader for transformation. And in particular, the transformation that is required at this time on our planet. Um, I talked about it in the first episode. Humanity is at a choice point, and it's time for us to decide, will we evolve? Will we grow and evolve our consciousness as a human species? Or is the natural intelligence going to have to hit the reset button? And actually, it's really great that we're going back to the first episode because I wanted to start us off today with where we left off on the first episode. Um, so I left you at the end of our first episode, first season 5, episode 1, was a contemplation practice. Your practice was to um, reflect on a quote that I had shared from A Course in Miracles. And the quote was from chapter 4, section 7, and it was, being is a state in which the mind is in communication with everything that is real. Again, being is a state in which the mind is in communication with everything that is real. And I had mentioned at the end of our previous episode about how there is so much distortion on our planet at this time, and our jobs as people who are here on the planet at this time, here to help us evolve our collective human consciousness, is for us to learn to be still so that we can be in communication with everything that is real, so that we can learn to discern between that which is real and that which is distortion. And in fact, today on the subject of love, we're actually also diving in deeper and further into the topic of distortion and love. And so, actually, I want us to start with the introduction from A Course in Miracles. I actually have a bunch of notes written down for us to review together today. And the introduction of A Course in Miracles says, the opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. And again, last time we spoke about how when the mind, being is a state in which the mind is in communication with everything that is real. Only love is real. Anything that is not love is not real. A Course in Miracles says that it is a call for love. Like anything that is not love is a call for love. And it is not real. And so, gosh, there's so many different directions. My neurodiverse brain is like, boom, all the directions right now. But I'm going to stay focused on my notes so that we can make sure to get through what wants to be delivered today. All right. So, only love is real. And everything that is not love is not love or not real and is simply a call for love. And there's something I've noticed within a lot of spiritual traditions and religious paths, spiritual paths. And I was actually turned on to, in particular, the one of the tenets. I don't know if it's called tenets, forgive me if I'm wrong. But one of the principles of Sufism actually is um, that there is either love or distortion of that love. And I am not of the Sufi tradition. I'm not of the Islamic tradition or religion, so I can't speak to that. I can only speak to what I have learned from others and, of course, the internet. So with that said, um, in Sufism, love, known as ishq, is the ultimate reality. And when I read this, especially about Ishq, I was like, oh my gosh, it took me back to my days watching Bollywood films as a young girl, and they would always talk about Ishq, Ishq, Ishq. Actually, there's a song, Ishq Bina, like Gina, like you can't live without Ishq in your life, this love. Now, in Sufism, Ishq is defined as a pure, unconditional, selfless love for the divine. And in Bollywood, that's not what it meant. It just meant that deep and passionate love. Um, so now coming back to what was shared with me was about Sufism, that there is only love or a distortion of that love. And Google describes that as anything that prevents or obscures the experience of divine love is seen as a distortion, including worldly attachments, ego, or ignorance. And this actually makes me think of Buddhism and Buddhist practices about how the root of all suffering is our ego and our attachment to ego and how we think things should be, what we think they should look like, what we think, how we think things should go, should be, should look, all the shoulds. And shoulding is actually not loving, first and foremost. But it just makes me think of how all of these spiritual traditions are all tied together and how it's all tied to the release of anything that gets in the way from our experience of ourselves as pure, inherent, divine love. Because we are simply sparks of divine love. We are simply pure, radiant beings of divine love. And it's all, and I talk about this in my first book. You can see it back there behind me if you're watching the video. I'm popping it on the screen. Fierce Authenticity, Show Up, Be Seen, Get Love. My very first book, I spoke about it there, where it's like our job and our goal is to be able to discover and discard anything that is not love. And actually, I think that it says that somewhere here in the introduction to A Course in Miracles. It says, the Course in Miracles does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. Love is your natural inheritance. And being connected with divine love and having an experience of divine love is what we were created for and how we were created. And it's living in the experiences of the world that leads us to forget that love is our inheritance. And so in Sufism, I think I have already shared this quote, but I'll say it again. Love is the ultimate reality. And A Course in Miracles will call that ultimate reality with a capital R. The reality that is true, the truest of true in God's realms, in the divine realms, not in our 3D human world, where it's a reality with a little r. Not that reality, but the ultimate reality. And this is true of many spiritual traditions. This is in Sufism that I'm sharing with you from. A Course in Miracles talks about it. And even Lord Krishna spoke of the same thing. And as I was preparing for our conversation today, I was thinking about, yeah, Lord Krishna and the dance and Maya. And Maya being the illusion. And then that took me to Buddhism. And of course, Buddhism was born of, like, came through from Hinduism. But Maya, the illusion is that which is not love. And in Buddhism, the goal is moksha, liberation. Liberation from all that is not love. Of course, in Buddhism, they call it moksha, liberation from suffering. But again, when you put it in the context of what we've been discussing today, anything that is not love is what is the suffering. And the suffering is nothing but an illusion, and the illusion is nothing but a distortion. And so it is our job, our role, our goal as revolutionaries and visionaries who are here at this very evolutionary time on our planet. Our job and our goal at this time is to be able to sort through that which is real and that which is not. That which is love, and that which is a distortion of that love. That which is love, that which is fear. That is what our job and our goal is at this time on our planet. And we've discussed this here. We've discussed it in the private podcast. We've discussed it in the Revolutionary Times digital publication. That and I've talked about it on my social media channels as well. If you are here with me in this space, especially, but simply just the fact that you are here at this time on our planet tells me that you are one of the souls who incarnated here at this evolutionary time on our planet, at this evolutionary time in our human consciousness, so that we can together remember the love that we are. Okay, all of a sudden, what's channeling through is this belief in Hinduism that there are actually 4 different ages and eras. And of course, we are in Kali Yuga right now. Kali Yuga, the age of darkness, of destruction, of pain, of suffering. And you look around the world, and that is what you see. Death, drama, destruction. My 3Ds for the actually 3Ds for the 3D world. Isn't that something? The 3Ds of the 3D world. Death, drama, and destruction. Usually I talk about that as like the mainstream media's 3Ds, but that is the reality of the little r of the 3D reality of our human experience. Death, drama, destruction. You look around anywhere, that's all you see. And they say in Hinduism that the Kali Yuga will go down in flames. Like it is fire that is going to end Kali Yuga. And I don't know about you, but if you've seen anything on the news, climate change, fires in places there shouldn't be fires. I don't know. Anyways, you do the math and put 2 and 2 together, okay? But coming back to this, there is this cyclical nature of time in Hinduism. And I'm not, I had done a tiny bit of reading up on this when I was researching I think it's 4, I don't know why the word epochs of time is coming up, the word epochs of time, um, in the cyclical nature of things, right? And after Kali Yuga, we don't completely, I mean, things have to happen. We do disappear, we do go away. But there's also indigenous traditions, indigenous beliefs across the world that there have been different iterations of the world. And the one we are living in now was born of what was unsustainable in the past. And that, again, the cyclical nature of things. And so after Kali Yuga, when things are destroyed, um, things are reborn in, I believe it's Dwapara Yuga. Don't quote me on that. I'm going to do a quick Google search. I'm going to do a quick Google search right now. The Yugas. Oh, in Hinduism. There we go. Nothing Google can't tell you. Oh, yes. Am I reading this correctly? Dwapara Yuga came before Kali Yuga. My bad. After Kali Yuga, we go into Satya Yuga, the first and longest yuga characterized by truth, righteousness, and virtue, often considered the golden age. Thank you, Google. The first and longest yuga, characterized by truth, righteousness, and virtue. My loves, I'm pausing here for emphasis for a reason. And that is because when you look around, amidst all of the destruction and the devastation that is our current Kali Yuga, that is our current choice point, evolution of humanity, there is also truth, righteousness, and virtue that is coming more strongly to the surface. Just this weekend, at the time of the recording, the weekend prior, it was April 4th. I think it was the 4th. Hold on, let me check my calendar. It was the 5th. It was April 5th. And there was a National Day of Action, hands off, protests. Hundreds and thousands of people across the country came together to protest, really, the current administration's complete disregard of democratic policies and processes. Some people call it fascist policies and procedures. I don't know enough about political science to talk about that, but that's what they're saying. And this episode is not about that. But the reason I bring this up is because there is this uprising in love and truth and justice and virtue and that which is right. And I actually participated. I was sick, but recovered enough. I was on like day 12 of this illness, day 11, 12 of this illness, I don't know. And I had it in me to go out to, not the one in San Jose that I wanted to go to, in downtown San Jose, but I did go to the one in Morgan Hill, a small town, just one town over from where I live. And it was a beautiful, peaceful demonstration of love, of that which is right and true and real. And even though it was a small town community, Morgan Hills, I mean, it's growing because it's like become Bay Area Junior. Um, and just a few weeks prior, I guess there was someone uh, out there with a Nazi sign, and I don't know what happened there. This is just what I heard from loved ones who were concerned about me going to Morgan Hill because they were concerned about the violence that could occur. Um, and I had shared on my stories as I was preparing to go to the protest, I had shared on my stories that to protest is actually a sacred act. It is one of the ways that we say that this is not okay here, that we will not stand for this. We do not stand for this, and it is not okay here. And so it is that sacredness, that righteousness, that love where we draw the line and say, this is not okay. And so, even though there is all this devastation and destruction and things look dire everywhere you look around in the 3D world, death, trauma, destruction, the 3Ds of the 3D world, you see also honesty, truth, love, virtue, and righteousness prevailing at the same time. which brings me back to the topic of love and how, oh my gosh, I have to share this with you. I just looked outside of my window to gather my thoughts, to collect myself, because my ADHD brain is, my neurodiverse brain is just in multiple different directions. And I took that pause and I looked outside my window, and this hummingbird flew by and said hello and took a little pause and sat on the bench or on a branch at the tree right outside my office. Hello, higher power. Hello, divine love. Thank you for letting us know you're here. Anyhows, coming back, coming back. Must rein myself back in, coming back. Um, while it may seem, let me back that thought up again. Gitanjali Hemp, my instructor, healer, teacher, facilitator, the person who I learned the energy healing modality that I am most trained in, Synthara system. She has been saying for years now that through that evolutionary wisdom, and even though it seems that there is so much destruction, the wisdom of the natural intelligence and wisdom of the system is already birthing and creating the new and that which is next. And so it just makes me think of, if we are in these end phases of Kali Yuga, which by the way is going to last another couple thousand years, but if we are at the end of this cycle, actually, is it a couple thousand years? I can't remember, but it's not going to be in our lifetime. Um, yeah, it doesn't say, my quick Google search doesn't say, oh, yeah, it says it lasts a long time. But if we are making our way towards the end of Kali Yuga, it makes sense that the Satya Yuga of knowledge, love, peace, virtue, what else was it? Truth, righteousness, that all of that is already being birthed on the planet at this time. And our job is simply to continue to engage in and cultivate in our practices so that we can learn to discern between truth and untruth, between reality and illusion, between love and distortion. That is our job and our goal and our role. And if you are interested in learning and deepening, well, how do I do that exactly? Then I invite you to visit my online shop over at ShiraniM.com/shop. I think that's it, but you can definitely get there from my main website, the main hub, and look for the tab that says online shop, ShiraniM.com, and purchase my $37 course, Embody Love. In that mini workshop, I share with you, it's like a mini course. It was a workshop, and in it, I share with you all of the foundational skills and practices and tools for how to be an instrument of love at this time, how to embody love, practices to help you discern between what is truth and what is untruth, what is real and what is unreal, what is real with a capital R, what is love with a capital L, and what is distortion and what is fear. It's a $37 course. It's 90 minutes and it has some of the most amazing bonus content. There's a 45-minute healing meditation, like an actual energy healing meditation that channeled through me. And there's a beautiful workbook and the self-love affirmation cards. And I'll drop the link in the show notes or in the YouTube video description, whichever platform it is that you're checking this out on. And that's what I encourage you to do. Of course, much of it is available for free on my YouTube channel. And in the Embody Love course, I put it together in a way that really flows for how we do that in our world today, how we do that as leaders of this evolution now today, considering the 3Ds of our 3D world. And so that's the way. That is the way. And if you are like, Shirani, forget the DIY, I'm over the DIY, or I already know the basics and I want to take it deeper, then reach out. Send me a message on my website and let's connect and see if coaching, mentoring, consulting together is right for you at this time. I am working with clients on bespoke custom packages that are just so yummy, juicy, nourishing, and exciting for how we be the change that we wish to see in the world, for how we embody love, for how we let go of all of the distortion, all of the things that is not love, so that we can show up as those instruments of love, so that as we remember, we allow others to remember that we are sparks of divine love, and that we have nothing to do and nothing to prove, but that we simply exist because we do. And the last thought that I have written down for you, and it's going to be my contemplation practice for you. So, of course, you have Embody Love for if you want to do the DIY route, get those foundational tools, skills, and practices. Or you can reach out, send me a message on my website if you would like to schedule a consultation to see how we can work together to support you deeper on a more private, intimate level. And a contemplation practice I want to leave you with. This quote also from A Course in Miracles, chapter 4, section 7. Love does not conquer all things, but it does set all things right. Love does not conquer all things, but it does set all things right. And just allow that to land. You know, we've been taught that love can conquer all. But you know what? That's actually a part of the distortion and the illusion. Because love doesn't conquer, because to conquer is not loving. But it does set all things right. So if you have made it with me to the end of this episode, thank you so much for bearing with me as I am still recovering and as we kind of wandered in a lot of the different realms of love and distortion and reality and different mystical and spiritual traditions. I mean, like we said, that is fierce authenticity reborn, really reconnecting with our roots and delving into how we be instruments of love in the revolution that is here for the evolution of our human consciousness at this time. So thank you again so much for being here, for joining me. And thank you to those of you who have already listened to the podcast and to season 5 and who have reached out and responded and shared with me that you are thoroughly enjoying the back to the roots, like back to basics version of the podcast. I've heard from some of you, and it really excites me when I hear from listeners and audience members, members of our community, that you are enjoying it and how it feels much more intimate and personal and private without all the bells and whistles, and that you are really enjoying that. So thank you again so much. My inbox is always open and welcome to engaging and communicating in loving ways for our common cause of more love on this planet so that we can eliminate and eradicate all of the unnecessary suffering, hurt, and suffering that leads to the distortion that has harmed us as humans, and that has also harmed our earth and in some ways our cosmos. And so with that, I'm noticing my voice has been getting tired for a little while, so I'm gonna zip it, and I am sending you so much love until we are together again. Take really good care, my loves.